What if I told you you could build a fully functional website in under 60 seconds that's live on the web? Today we have on Eric Simons, the co-founder of Bolt, one of the hottest AI startups. Eric's going to show us how to use Bolt to create an application that before would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to make, and now it costs next to nothing. So if you've ever had an idea for an app before and got stuck because you couldn't code, you couldn't find a technical co-founder, this episode is going to unlock so many opportunities for you. So let's just jump right in. Eric, thanks for coming on the Next Wave.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So I've been following Bolt for a long time, and I know you guys also did this awesome hackathon, was it a month ago or so?
Yeah. Absolutely. Happy to go over all that. And yeah, maybe I'm happy to show, maybe just a quick demo of what Bolt is and what you can use it for and that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just jump right into it.
Cool. Yeah. So in short, it was almost a year ago exactly we launched Bolt. And the idea was what if ChatGPT could actually make web apps, and mobile apps? Because that, now there's a lot of these things that can do that. But Bolt was really the first one that could actually build full stack web applications just by typing text in a box and hitting enter. And Bolt's improved a ton, over the past year since we originally launched it. But we've stayed true to the roots of the thing of just having it be this really, really simple interface where you can literally, it's just a text box and you can type in what you want to build with it. We have some, example templates you can use down here. But, for the purposes of this demo, let's just say, make me a dashboard for viewing company metrics or something, right? And so you can imagine a very common, use case folks use for Bolt are PMs, designers at companies that are using this instead of Figma to prototype out their applications. Because it's way faster to just type in words into a box.
And you can show something real that actually works, and it's easier to talk about that versus some design file.
Exactly, right. So if you kind of come back to Marty Kagan wrote this book, it's kind of the foundational how to build products sort of book. I think it's called Inspired, if I'm not mistaken. But he had this a concept of high fidelity prototypes, where and really the core idea is if you're going to make a prototype, you want it to be as true to form as possible to get the most highly accurate feedback from the end user on whether or not it's something they would use, right?
Right.
And prior to this type of tool existing, the fastest way to create a prototype was dragging stuff around in Figma and then basically showing people JPEGs and be does this look good? If it passes that test, then maybe you get some engineers to spend a couple weeks prototyping something that is a real application to put in front of them. But it just took too long. It was too expensive to
I feel there could be so much loss in translation there too of you think you understand the idea, but then when you actually get your hands on it, it's oh yeah, I don't really like that.
Dead on. Exactly. Right. And so what Bolt has to kind of flip that around where it's you can just come in and start prototyping an idea that's a real application you can try out. Right? I just typed some random thing in and it's gone ahead and, gone and created a dashboard that we can look at with our different business metrics and whatever have you. And you can actually pull in your company's design system to this thing. So it'll actually build applications and use the libraries your company does. So it's on brand, right? With your company's apps. But
how do you pull that in? Is that from Figma or something like that? Is a library of your fonts and colors and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can actually pull it in from your Figma. So if you go to the Bolt homepage, there's a Figma button. You can paste it in there. Kind of cool. In front of any Figma URL, you can just put bolt.new in front of it, and then it'll automatically suck it in. Other ways, if you have if you have a coded version of your design system, an NPM package or something, you can actually configure that in Bolt and say, okay, our design system lives in these packages in our NPM registry, and it'll actually install from there and use those things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's we're one of I think the only company that actually allows that at this point, where we've designed it to be able to pull in from arbitrary registries, pull in from Figma, et cetera. And so yeah, a lot of companies use us for rapid prototyping, et cetera, in collaboration amongst folks on the team. And what's cool is if you want to, as you get feedback, you can just go to Bolt and you can, prototype and, give it direction, say, let's make this optimized, for mobile devices, and use a blue color theme or something. Yeah, I don't know. But you can keep interacting with it and chatting with it and building this interactively. So it's very simple. You don't have to be technical to use the product. And so, it's been a game changer, across the spectrum for businesses, for PMs especially, and even for entrepreneurs that are going and building their first application ever and trying to launch a startup on their own.
Cool. And I assume you get all the code for this too that you could hand off to a developer once you prototyped it?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And so to me, that's like one of the most magic things about this entire transition happening, where you can have, AI just spit out actual code. It is using, again, the same code your company does, or, if you're starting a company, it's using like React, which is like typically the default choice or whatever have you. And you can instruct it to use anything for that matter. But yeah, you can take this code. We actually have an integration with GitHub, so you can like commit this to a repo and like have it be committing there. We have integrations for deployment and that sort of stuff built in. So this is not like some proprietary thing like, maybe Wix or Squarespace, right? Sort of is. This is like something that's actually really, really focused on, kind of real workflows and use cases.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about, I was like, who is your competition? I mean, I know there's like Lovable and Vercel v0 and like, and then obviously there's IDEs like, Cursor and Windsurf, and then there's agents like Devin and Factory. I am kind of wondering like where this all goes, and like, do they all converge in some way, or are they all serving different markets? I kind of see Devin and Factory a little bit more targeting enterprises that also have engineers. It feels like with what you guys are doing is great for like replacing the website builders and things like that. But maybe you're thinking about it totally different than I am.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think that it's somewhat the website builders. I think for us, we're very focused on having this be a tool that people are using for rapid product development. So again, I think like the Figma use case of like, we're making prototypes, giving feedback and iterating, that strikes me as really our lane and where we are having really, really great results. That said, a lot of our prosumers, so we have two ICPs that we see on our prosumer side. It's largely filled with people that are entrepreneurs building their startups, that sort of thing. On the B2B side, it's entirely like PMs at companies doing rapid prototyping. And they're kind of largely the same use case, where everyone is, both sides there are trying to iterate towards great products. The prosumer side of it, though, they really, really care about having production grade hosting and things of that nature, which like the businesses also care about in regards to like creating real prototypes they can share internally and that sort of thing. But there's just a little bit of a weight emphasis difference between what these two different types of users are doing. But it's like kind of a classic product led, growth sort of motion for us.
Look, vibe coding is the fastest way to go from idea to shipped product. And most marketers are completely sleeping on it. And here's what's wild. HubSpot just dropped 10 vibe coding prompts that'll take you from I have an idea to an actual working product in hours. You get the complete zero to ship framework with prompts at every stage, from ideation, technical, optimization, and scaling. It's the entire package. Get it right now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the show.
Do you guys provide any kind of hosting or anything like that right now, or no?
So by the time this is live, like, so tomorrow we're actually announcing this, but basically we have actually integrated hosting directly into the product. I'll go ahead and hit publish. So, this is okay. So this is actually time production. I'm feature flagged right now. So we get to see it actually in action. If this breaks, by the way, it's because I'm feature flagged and this is like going out.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. So what's cool is like, this has actually been kind of a big problem. Okay, so like I said, it broke. So like this is going out tomorrow. But what's really cool about what we're up to here with hosting, a lot of the tools today for vibe coding, like, they're very fun. They're kind of like, they're fun toys, but they don't actually set you up to build and scale your product to millions of people, right? Or even thousands of people. There's been a lot of stuff in the news around databases being deleted by other folks and like security issues, et cetera. And a lot of the issue is that the vibe coding tools, like the web-based ones like Lovable and Replit, whatever, the way that they've approached hosting your applications that you make is that they actually have like, they kind of tried to home roll their own hosting infrastructure. And the problem with that is that all these companies are about the same size. Like, we're like 45 people, so is Lovable, so is Replit. If you're going to go and scale databases and servers and DNS, it to do it well and reliably, right? For actual businesses, it's a whole business in itself. And so what we ended up doing is we have partnered with Netlify and Supabase, which are some of the best companies in the world for databases and hosting. And we've actually taken their offerings and for the first time ever, like, brought it underneath one interface, like one seamless experience inside of Bolt, where you're not even like, you're not signing up for a Netlify or Supabase account. It's actually just part of Bolt. Like, every Bolt project has its own production hosting and database associated with it. So when you create a project on Bolt, it automatically has those things, and it's being scaled and supported by Netlify and Supabase with us. And so you can actually go and scale things to millions of concurrent users, right, with these different tools. So Bolt is actually like really the first vibe coding tool that's going to actually have this amazing type of, idea to million sort of experience, right? So that's like the big thing we're rolling out tomorrow.
Yeah, so it feels like you guys could really, in theory, dominate like the whole 0 to 1, basically, right? Like it sounds like you guys could be the best at that. Like just from idea in your head to like it's now a real thing and it's actually published on the web, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And you're spot on, which is like the folks that the people that are primarily using Bolt are not developers, right? So like when you look at Cursor, the inverse is true. Like nearly everyone using Cursor is a developer.
Yeah.
The people that are using Bolt are people that have a great taste in products and business, right? And they have good intuitions around those things, but have never had the technical knowledge on how to actually build a product themselves from the ground up, as far as like writing code and that sort of thing. And so Bolt for them is really their tool to actually go and take direct control of building their products and experiences. And then to that end, it's been a very important part of that. And this is like a lot of the growth of the other guys too in the space have been seeing from this type of archetype. But the issue is it's not just about building a prototype or building an app. You have to have this thing wired up to be able to actually be secure and actually be able to scale and like not have these crazy obvious holes in them, right? And that just strikes us as it's important to have as a first grade thing in the experience. To the end that like we are using like what Bolt hosting, like we are actually hosting Bolt on Bolt hosting. Like, we use the exact same stuff, for this. And, and even like Lovable also uses the same stuff as what Bolt hosting is, right? So it's like, we're really the first company that's actually, if the tagline is you can go from idea to production or whatever in a prompt, if the vibe coding tool itself is not using their own hosting, that's like it's a big red flag, right?
Right.
And there's been a lot of this where like everyone's saying the stuff is secure and stuff, but it's like, I mean, if you really believe that, like, why are you kind of selling people one thing and not actually using it yourself, right? But it kind of goes to show though, like what we think is important from the user experience, of what help people actually get their ideas online in a secure way that will actually.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because obviously, I lived in San Francisco for 13 years. I'm in Japan now. And obviously in Silicon Valley, there's a huge bias towards engineers, which I love engineers. I code myself a bit, but it always seemed like people who were like great at business or marketing or sales, they were at such a disadvantage. People don't realize like you can launch a lot of things now. And it's not a big deal. People used to be worried about like launching something and it failed and like, oh my God, people are going to think you're a failure. People forget things like a week later now.
Yep.
You literally were just trying new ideas and seeing what works with something like Bolt.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that to me is like the what I for like people that are entrepreneurial, I think this is the best thing really in the past decade that's come out as far like the capabilities to be able to iterate this fast. Because like to me, I look at early stage entrepreneurship, like finding product market fit it's purely a numbers thing. Like it's a numbers, how many shots on goal can you take? Like how many iterations can you take? Because it's all
and how fast too, right? Like the speed matters a lot.
Bingo, right? Because it's like that your speed dictates how many shots on goal you got, right?
Yep.
And this increases that by like an order of magnitude. And so that to me is like why every entrepreneur should be using these things, because we've had just dozens and dozens of startups that have used Bolt to build their MVP, go and prove it out, and have gone and raised their seed rounds, to continue scaling their company out. And I love hearing that. But yeah, that's to me, it's like, and all the integrations we're building in as well, like what we're doing with like our Bolt Cloud offering stuff is, again, it's like, these are things that if it wasn't just built in, you'd have to go and figure out how to set these things up and get them all configured and and then and if you're not technical, it's like the agent's not going to know how to use these other things, right? So having it all built in, it's like now you can come to Bolt and be like, hey, buy my domain, like deploy that thing to production, like go and add this feature, and it just knows how to do all this stuff across all of the infrastructure, right? that you don't even know what it is and how it works, but it does, right? And you can build a business. Like, amazing, you know?
Yeah, it is amazing. I think it's a good moment to like talk about the hackathon, because it fits really well into talking about all the new opportunities for people to be able to create things. So maybe tell me about the hackathon, and if we could show me some examples as well, like what people built.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So back in, I think it was like March or April, this guy KP, who runs the startup stuff over at Paddle, he tweeted out this idea. Is like, if I was the CEO of Bolt, I would throw the world's largest hackathon and have a giant cash prize, have Guinness World Record actually like validate it with the world record title. It just is a lightning rod to like get entrepreneurs and builders to come and actually try out these new tools like Bolt. Because the key reason is a lot of people still are not aware that they can actually go and build startups and tech products themselves with Bolt and other things. So I tweeted back. I was like, cool, let's do it. I didn't know who he was, but I was like, let's do it. And a couple hours later, we had like over $1 million of commitments. The thing went like viral on Twitter and whatever. And so we ended up, we got roped into running the world's largest hackathon, which I will tell you in retrospect, I mean, it was a heck of a lot more work than I would have ever expected. But it was incredible. I think we had like over 130,000 people that participated in this thing. Wow. And the top folks that won the thing, it was amazing. Like, I think the first prize was like $100,000. The second prize was like 75 or 50.
Did you say 130,000 people?
Yeah, 130,000. Yeah,
Christ.
Huge, massive. Wow. It was just crazy. Yeah, our cloud and inference bills were through the roof. But yeah, it was such a cool initiative that we ended up doing, because there's so many people that came from all different walks of life and backgrounds. Some people that were engineers, most people were not. They had never, and they were just like, hey, I'll give this a shot. Like, I'll go and build something cool. And so I think the fellow that won first place, I'll go and pull up our acts where like we had some of this stuff.
And so this hackathon was all in person. They all had to be there? Or?
It was all global, actually. Yeah, it was global.
Oh, okay.
We had an in-person component to kick the thing off. The Chainsmokers threw a concert for this. That was how this thing kicked off, believe it or not. They're like investors in our company. And so in San Francisco, there was a concert to kick off this hackathon, which is pretty cool. Other than that, it was like pretty much all online though. But yeah, so this the fellow that won first place, super cool guy. He made a AI app that actually lets you like edit videos with AI. So like I don't know if you've done a lot of video editing. It's kind of monotonous.
A little bit, yeah.
And so it's like the idea of having an AI integration or agent where you can actually just tell it, hey, like go and take these parts, clip them together, and and it just like does it. Pretty magic, right?
Right.
So we ended up making a actual app for this. I'm so I can find the
That's
URL.
Cool. I own lore.com, and there's been so many people who've told me, Nathan, you should be doing that with lore. That's what lore should be.
Good. I mean, it's a really good idea, But let's see if he has like a demo video here or something. I know we have one as part of the hackathon or whatever have you, but let's go. Let's see. Do a 2-minute highlight reel. Let's give it a shot. Let's see how this works. Go ahead and sign in. But anyway, but it is really sophisticated application actually, because you could actually, he had a full timeline scrubber and everything. And I mean, it was like a full on, project. Wow. Let me go and see. I've not tested this recently.
And he used Bolt for all of this.
Yeah. He used Bolt was the tool that he used to premiere this. So you can kind of see like the interface. This is like, this is not, super trivial stuff to make here, right? Especially in the course of just like a month, like
right.
Pretty wild. So you can, chat with it and actually, tell it to edit it and whatever have you. But it's like, this is like a reasonably sophisticated application, right? So it's just like an idea. This is like a real startup. I mean, you think about like a couple of years ago, the idea of a one person building something like this this would have taken like a year or, to build solo. Right. But, made this, entirely through prompting. So this is the guy that won first place. And then on second place, was, this guy, his name's Serge. So he made this app called Weight Coach. Basically the idea is it, allows you to, take control of like what you're eating and to like help create recipes for you based on the ingredients you have. help you like, actually get down to like the target weight that you're looking for. And I think it actually uses AI to go and like create recipes and, go and, create different aspects of the experience, which is like really cool. Cause there's like these weight loss apps, that you can download, but his is like, I thought was very interesting because it was something where it actually got to know you and like your preferences and could actually think outside. It wasn't like, hey, here's like 5 different recipes that are like hard coded into this thing. It's like, it can actually go and dynamically adjust to like, oh, I'm traveling. Okay, well, here's something you could do in that area, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, but it's like very, very cool, app that he made. And this is actually a native mobile app. So this is not just like a web app. It's actually a native app, which is, something unique that like, Bolt is the only, / one of the only, web-based tools where you can like, make a native iOS or Android app with the thing. But yeah, cool. So there's just a couple of the cool hackathon projects that came out of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was sitting there thinking when you were talking about this, I was like, I was remembering back that one of my cousins in Alabama was asking me like, hey, I've got this idea for an app. I used to have tons of people in my family like, because they knew I was, having some success in San Francisco, and they were like, hey, I have an idea for an app, and how would I make it, or how would I get started? And I was like, oh God, I guess you got to go learn. You got to go learn this programming language for like a year. You got to learn whatever, and then maybe make a prototype, and it's probably not going to work. And I just told him that too. I was like, it's probably not going to work. You got this idea. It sounds great. You're gonna, you probably should do it though, because you're going to learn a lot. And I do wonder like if that would have changed things, if they could have just like went to something like this and just tried it, and then in a day saw if their idea had any merit or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, and that's like, so my co-founder and I, he and I actually grew up down the street from each other in the suburb of Chicago, and he and I learned how to code together when we were like 13. And we've been building stuff together ever since. And
awesome.
It's like, we look at this, we're like, this is like the thing, we're building the thing that we wish we had when we were 13 years old, because it's so painful to have to learn how to program from scratch. And the drop off is just huge. Like a lot of people have interest in this stuff, but just to do anything, it's like, there's all this random, kind of archaic things almost you have to become good at. That's really ancillary to the point of actually building something.
Yeah, and then you're just getting started. That doesn't mean that you're going to have any success at all.
100%. And so I think that, it seems, and this is like Greg says, this kind of vein of thinking a lot, but like, already started seeing an explosion here of ideas and products that just would have never existed before, because just the sheer drop off that inevitably happens if you have to know how to set up dev environments and how to code, and then getting good at coding to the degree you can actually make something that's beautiful and like secure and can scale and stuff. I mean, that's like, it takes years to even just get to that point. And then you get to start taking shots on goal in an actual way. Right. So yeah, I mean, it's just transformative, right? To how startups, the dynamics of startups in general, Yeah,
I do think for this whole, like you guys owning 0 to 1 too, like for like average people, I do think Bolt is the best name. I know you've talked about this before, but maybe if we could briefly go into like how that happened, like from like Stackblitz to Bolt, because I feel like I heard of Stackblitz. I think I did on Twitter or something at some point. I'm not entirely sure. I think,
back in 2017, Albert Pai, my co-founder, he and I launched Stackblitz, which is web-based IDE. And the idea was, I mean, we wanted to make it as easy to build like full stack web applications as it was to use Figma or Canva, right? I think that was the idea. And we gotten really, the idea, I guess, kind of started because back when we first came to the Valley in 2011, 2012, we'd had the good fortune of bumping into Dylan Field and Evan Wallace when they were first starting Figma. And, back then, like they didn't have a design tool. Like their pitch, the initial pitch was like this demo of a 3D ball dropping into water inside of a browser tab. And the pitch went basically along the lines of like, browsers have become very powerful. You can now do complex graphics rendering in them. And so like, if you can create a rendering engine that runs in a browser, you can bring design to the browser in the same way that Google brought docs and email, et cetera. And, that'll be hugely valuable. But obviously we've seen how that story has played out now. And so back in 2017, we saw for the first time, like, it might be possible to do that same play, but for development environments. So for the first time, you can actually mount dev environments in a browser using the end user's, CPU, memory, et cetera. And that would be huge for the same reason it was for Figma and Google Docs and whatever have you. And so we started the company in 2017. We launched that technology in 2021, lot of developers thought it was very cool. But over the couple of years after that, like we had millions of developers using the product for free every month. We just could not get anyone to pay us money. And that was like, by and large, like if you think about, what's really the difference between Stackblitz and Bolt, Stackblitz was an IDE where you still had to know how to code. Like you didn't have to set up your environment, but you still had to know how to code, which is huge. Like that is not a small,
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was like, to me, that would have been great for like maybe competing with like Codecademy kind of thing, where like you're actually teaching people to code or something. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Now, and it's funny because Stackblitz, we started Stackblitz because we were competing with Codecademy on our previous company. In a sense, like we were teaching people how to code online, needing an online environment to do that, and that's really where Stackblitz kind of popped out of. But there wasn't an obvious way for us to make money, or at least the things that seemed obvious. We tried, all the other competitors tried. No one figured out how to make money on cloud IDEs in any meaningful way. It was just a mirage. And so that came to the last year. We've been around for 7 years as a company. We still like over half the money we'd ever raised in the bank at that point. But it was like, we've been at this for a long time. And if we don't, if we can't figure out how to make a venture scale business, like it just doesn't, and we don't have a clear paths to doing so, like what are we doing here?
Right.
And so we were, the decision was made, like, if we don't have something by the end of the year, that's like changes the trajectory, we're going to start spinning down the company or getting acquired or like whatever. Right. And so what we ended up doing is we launched a couple of different products last year. All of them were very cool. But the first couple we launched, didn't get the commercial traction that we were, hoping to see. And, when we launched Bolt, it was the last experiment that we were going to run. We were launched in October. Our board meeting was in November, where we were going to, begin disassembling the company.
Yeah.
and what ended up happening,
hey, surprise, guys! We got this Bolt thing.
Totally right. I mean, it was unexpected for literally everyone at that point. But I mean, when we've been around for 7 years and we got to like 700K of ARR, and then we launched Bolt. In the first 30 days, we added 4 million of ARR, and then the month after that, we went to 20 million, and it was just like.
Yeah. Wow.
It was crazy. And so it was like, and there's a lot of these stories now, these companies they're seeing these like revenue ramps like we did. But we were really the first one that actually like saw that type of hockey stick. And we're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But that was how Bolt came to be, is it was, really it was an idea I'd had earlier in the year. And then once we saw the Sonnet 3.5 model from Anthropic, I was like, okay, this is like viable. Like the coding models have really caught up, and this would be an interesting product. We had no idea it would be as well loved and received as it has been, and grow as fast as it has been. Like we thought we would add, like the best case scenario in our view was we had 100K of ARR by the end of the year off this. That would be amazing. And we cleared that, I think, on like the first or second day or something,
Well, dude, that's congrats on that. I mean, like the fact that you did that for 7 years, and so like you were just like hustling and like barely holding on, and and then had this huge success. That's amazing. Now, I did kind of wonder, I was like, God, why didn't he just start a new company and like have a new cap table and everything? Like you also probably didn't know exactly how things were going to play out with Bolt and everything.
Well, it actually relied on the technology we had made, right? I mean, like, the in the browser dev environment stuff, like when you go to Bolt, like that is all that technology we made over the past 7 years. Like that is what is actually making that possible. Like we built Bolt in 90 days because we had spent 7 years building this technology to run dev environments. So it was a very natural product progression, actually.
Cool. I'm curious, which model are you guys using right now, like primarily, like with Bolt? Or have you switched over to GPT-5? Or are you still using Claude? Or like what are you using?
Yeah, we primarily use Claude. I mean, we found Claude to have, doing code generation stuff, like Claude has the best models. We've also, we were one of the launch partners on GPT-5. And GPT-5 is a great model. I think there's certain areas where we're using it, but I think Anthropic has they've just done a really good job of really lasering in on software code gen and just being the best in the world at that. And I think they're doing a lot of interesting stuff there, where I suspect that they're going to be the preferred tool for some time. Maybe other things will come, but it seems like they've really. That's really the niche that they're focusing on, and the focus matters a lot.
Yeah. I went on vacation for a few days, and I came back, and like Twitter was full of like all these people arguing over GPT-5, and some people were like, it's amazing. Other ones like, it's horrible. And this is like the end of AI. It was all a big bubble. We're all done for. And I was like, what the hell is going on? What did I come back to? What did I come back to? I tried GPT-5. It seemed really good. Like, not like a gigantic step forward, but like a nice step forward. I thought it was really smart how they had like switched to like an automatic model. Cause like for the average person, the UI was horrible. And then now everyone's basically like forced them back into having the same kind of UI again, or like similar. And I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on like, AI progress, and, have things stalled out, or are they just, what do you think about AI progress?
Yeah, I think, as far, it depends on like the dimension of it, but like
coding and like building applications.
Yeah, I think on coding, I think that there's very meaningful improvements that we've witnessed across model to model, especially across the Anthropic family. Just over the past year, like it seems like the RL stuff that's going on there has legs and has a lot of room to run. Looking at the more AGI stuff, I think that all of these things are kind of reliant on new approaches being invented and proven out, right? So I think on the current, if you kind of take the current state, like the whole idea of like scaling things up, like that has topped out, but the adding like the reasoning and RL stuff has kind of move the needle a bit in a way that you couldn't have forecasted. So I think we might see more stuff there, but it's like, it kind of a TBD.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to know if that's also going to like cap out too, like the thinking, the reasoning side. Is that going to continue to scale up, or is that also going to have diminishing returns? It's kind of hard to know.
It might, right? I think we're going to, there's just going to have to be a lot of new research and invention done. But I think even with the current state of the stuff we're looking at, a lot of the game is like moving away from like, do we have the best model? And kind of moving more towards, do we have the best model that's designed to work well with agents, right? Because when you can actually, if you think about like how a human brain works, it's kind of rare where just like off the top of your head on any given sufficiently complicated question, you will just zero shot an answer that is completely perfect, right? It makes sense that maybe we can get machines to be at that point, but it seems like a pragmatic way to approach this is like, yes, assume that there's going like, that's maybe the North Star or whatever, but like, the way in which people think is by bouncing things around and going back and forth. And that's like what agents do. Like Claude Code is going and looking at different files and like kind of digging in. And sometimes it'll hit like a dead path in like what it's trying to figure out. And it'll revert back and like, blah, blah, blah. And so to me, it's like, it's actually more important that there's the area where the innovation is ripe and is like early days is really making that sort of critical thinking really, really good, and making good at tool calling and like for building agents and that sort of thing. And so I think it actually kind of matters less about the specific model capabilities, because even with like some of the frontier models, like I don't think we're really maxing out what they can do if you actually have a really good agent that's orchestrating them. But that also relies on the models themselves being trained to work better as agents. So I think there's like there's some number of years where just focusing on that is going to yield some incredible results, I think.
It seems like that plus more compute, and we'll get like amazing progress for at least like 3 to 5 years.
For sure.
AGI, you could argue that AGI is like 20 years away, or like we've already reached it, like depending on your definition.
Yeah. And I think too, it's going to take time for the application layer to actually fully utilize even the current state of the art, right? And so I think that like, there's not actually to me an urgent need for these things to go like 10x better tomorrow for this. Not like this is real. Like there's real revenue coming into us and other companies. And like, there's a lot of new innovation happening that's not even related to the models getting better. So I think from that end, I think it's going to be transformative on just how the world operates, without really needing some giant step function in any short period of time.
Yeah, I think the average person doesn't even realize how good the current models are. They're just using it as like a basic chat bot or Google.
For sure, and they're not using, there's just not a proliferation of products that are really leveraging these things to the max and integrating into people's workflows. Like it's taking time, right? And that's like the same thing we've seen with every other wave of technology, where it's like the adoption of cloud services, adoption of the internet. It's like, it kind of takes time for there to be proliferation of these, of the builders who are delivering the services and the consumers that are purchasing them. Right.
Yeah.
And it is going faster than ever has been in previous cycles, But even still, it's again coming back to like for our products, like most people don't know that they can write software now, right? And so like that's the TAM is like 98% of the planet.
Right.
There's not even 100 million people that are using these. There's not even like 20
I do wonder
million
how you
people.
reach those people, because like I think a lot of them, even if you told them, they're like, okay, I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? like even if you just told them, they wouldn't be able to process it. Like that was actually real. That you could just go type in and it would make a website for you or an application, whatever. Like people have a hard time, grasping that.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of this is like it's really. People, builders, and entrepreneurs need to go and solve the last mile problems of these things at the application and distribution side of this problem set. And so I think for those reasons, I feel like everyone, and maybe in large part because of some companies that have been just like hammering about AGI for the past 5 years or whatever. But it's like, I think there's some expectation. It's like AGI or bust. Like this is not zero sum. Like maybe I'll pass lead to that, but like, that's not needed. Like if you look at software development specifically, what is the value of going and like creating products whose purpose is to like go and basically rewrite all of the world's software, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Like we can just with Bolt and other products, you can go and just build new software that replaces previous human written software. The market size of that is like trillions of dollars, right? Like you can rewrite how the world works with just basically the current state of technology. So that's kind of my take on like, what's progress or not, or like, but I think just like pragmatically, it's like, we haven't even scratched the surface of the current level of capabilities as far as applying it into the world. And it's still improving. And that's crazy because again, even with the current state of the art, there's so much more to be done.
Cool. Well, dude, Eric, this has been awesome. It's been fun. Where should people find you online? And
yeah, for sure. Like our Bolt is like bolt.new. That's the domain. You can find me on Twitter, just at Eric Simons.
Cool, man. It's awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.